por conectarte a Vida In Online. Estamos a tan solo unos minutos de comenzar. Pero antes de, quiero darte un consejo. Ve y toma tu café, tu té y ponte cómodo. Y también comparte con tu familia y amigos para que juntos podamos disfrutar de esta transmisión.
soy yo para que el grande me acepte así? Me encontró en mi perdición, su amor por mí, oh su amor por mí. Libre soy en él, libre en verdad, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. Rescate su gracia, aun siendo yo pecador, Él murió por mí. Él murió por mí, libre soy en Él, libre en verdad, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. En tu casa, Dios, sitio hay para mí, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. Escogido, perdonado, yo soy quien dices que soy, vas conmigo a mi lado, yo soy quien dices que soy. Escogido, perdonado, yo soy quien dices que soy, vas conmigo a mi lado, yo soy quien dices que soy, si yo soy quien dices que soy, libre soy en él, libre en verdad, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. En tu casa, Dios, sitio hay para mí, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. En tu casa, Dios, sitio hay para mí, soy hijo de Dios, si lo soy. Escogido, perdonado, yo soy quien dices que soy, vas conmigo a mi lado, yo soy quien dices que soy. Escogido, perdonado, yo soy quien dices que soy, vas conmigo a mi lado, yo soy quien dices que soy. Escogido, perdonado, yo soy quien dices que soy, vas conmigo a mi lado, yo soy quien dices que soy, si yo soy quien dices que soy.
Friends, welcome. Good day. It's great to say hi to you today. Thank you for being connected to Vidain online at home. Welcome, everyone. I want you to do something. Say hi to you, to us. Tell us from which city you are tuning. I know there are people outside from Mexico connected to Vidain. There's this particular group. It's in Chile. Hi to everyone over there in Vertical Church. It's great to be here today, connected on a new transmission, on a live transmission. And I'm Fer, and I love to say hi to you. It's great to be able to start today with this song, a song that reminds us what God says about us, how God sees us. He is a God who accepts us, a God who forgives us, who sees us as His children. And if today is your first time with us, we are happy, we are glad for seeing you here. And we want you to know that these truths that the musicians were singing about are also available to you. Beyond your religious background, you need to know God sees you as His son or daughter, and you can see Him as your Father. And that's amazing. Thank you for connecting. I want you to know at the end of this transmission, if you want to know a little bit more about Vidain, if you have questions, you're looking for answers, or if you have a particular need, you can do this. There will be people who will be on a virtual room on Zoom, and they will be there for you to share with you. So thank you for connecting today. It's a pleasure for me, and I'm very glad all the volunteers who are making this possible are very happy because we are transmitting live from Monterrey, but we are transmitting from the new facilities from our new campus here in Monterrey. This is why you see behind me all these racks and the musicians with a lot of things around them, because we are in the last stage of preparing these facilities, this campus, a project we started last year, a dream we had, and that today we can see it come through. We are extremely happy, and we just have to say thank you. Thank you for everyone who has made of Vidain their church and who have committed with their giving, with their constant giving. And it is thanks to you and your generosity that today we can say we have a new campus. And although we cannot meet physically, we know that day is closer. That's our trust, that's our hope, and we are expectant that today we will be together in a place where you will be able to invite your friends, your the relatives, a close place, a place where you and I will be able to share and talk about those eternal truths in a practical way. Thank you very much for your generosity. Today, friends, we will continue with part two of the series we started last week, Mood. And today I'm going to leave you with Roberto Bautista, who will share the message. But before, I will encourage you to see the next video.
Hola Laura, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás hoy?
¿Me puedes dar más agua, por favor?
Ok.
There's something that is impacting your relationships today. And actually, that same thing is sabotaging those same relationships. And it's very likely that you don't know what it is because it's very difficult to identify what that is. Today, we will be talking about this. Friends, it's a pleasure for me to say hi to you. and I'm even stuttering because I'm very happy, happier than usual. And I'm happier than usual because we are here transmitting from our new campus here in Monterrey, and we feel the excitement here. See all the volunteers, everyone who's here making possible this transmission. So we are extremely happy. And if this is the first time you are here with us, and probably you are connecting for the first time, or connecting, you everything is different, but we're very happy because today is the first time we are transmitting from our new facilities in Monterrey. So we're extremely happy. So allow me to tell you something. If this is the first time you are with us, welcome. I want to really emphasize today about you, because if you are someone who has been apart from God, the church, faith, whatever, well, thank you for connecting today with us, because all that we do here, we do it with the purpose of you enjoying it and that you remain connected to us, engaged this week and the next week. Thank you and welcome again. Welcome everyone from the family at Vida Inn. If you are in different places, if you are in the Saltillo campus, I was last week there and it was great. Hi to our dearest family in Mexico City, and obviously our beautiful people here in Monterrey, and even people who are from Vidain but are not in Mexico City, Monterrey, or Saltillo. Hi to you, because I was seeing that people were writing from Houston and from California. Someone said hi from Cancun, and I said, "Oh my God, I want to be there." People saying hi from Puebla. So hi to everyone, and obviously to our friends in Santiago de Chile from Vertical. Welcome everyone. We are extremely happy again because I tell you we are here, but also because we are in part 2 of our series Mood. And Mood is a series that has to do with relationships. And what we have said is that we all have some sort of climate in our relationships, and that the climate we are having today in our relationships will determine the forecast of that relationship. It will determine how that relationship will look tomorrow. If you, for example, go out today and you see some clouds, you will say, maybe it will rain this afternoon. And unlike the climate or the weather in your city or my city that we cannot change, in our relationships, we can do something to change the climate for today so that the forecast is a good one. Now, actually, if you were not connected in last week's transmission, in part 1 of this message, I would ask you to please watch it. And if you are listening to us today or whenever you're listening to this on our podcast, please pause right now, click pause, and go to part 1, because you need to see it or to hear it, because Alejandro left us with a spectacular question. I hope you asked it. I did, and this is my conclusion. I don't believe anyone can truly have a good relationship or build a good relationship without asking this question. So, friends, let's ask this question. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about one of the factors that most impact relationships. We are going to untangle this, and then we're going to get to the solution regarding this topic. And what is it? What is it, or what is the factor that impacts so much relationships? And I'm going to go straight to the point. And what is it that impacts a relationship so much? It's this: insecurity. And few things I consider are so, or I consider affect so much relationships as this, as insecurity does. Because, and again, I tell you, I think there's nothing that will affect our relationships as much as insecurity, because the problem with insecurity is that insecurity shows up in different ways, and it can show up through jealousy, and maybe jealousy are easily identified. Yes, that's insecurity, but there are other things that of which you would say I didn't think of that as insecurity. For example, anger, control, wanting to control the relationship, undermining or undervaluing other people. Behind that, there's insecurity. The thing of being extremely careful with what we say, because you don't want to upset anyone, and we are so careful with what we say. Actually, if we suddenly say, "Oh, it's too hot today," and the other person said, "What do you mean? You're not feeling okay with me today?" No, 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 I didn't want to say that. And that is complicated. Being next to someone insecure is complicated. Truly is. Loving a spouse that's insecure is complicated. Being the son of a father or a mother who's insecure, working for a boss who's insecure is complicated. Helping a friend who's insecure, all of that. When you are next to someone insecure, it's complicated. I don't have to convince you of this because I'm sure you know it. There's a large truth about this insecurity and what I'm telling you, and it's this: we all have insecurities. And I'm not saying you're insecure. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have insecurities. I have insecurities. We all have insecurities. So it's not about you being insecure. It's rather we all have insecurities in different ways. We do. And the thing is, there's always a time in which we ask ourselves, um, am I being a good father? Am I being a good mother? Um, Maybe someone asks you, or a group of people, or you are in front or leading at the company, and everyone sees you as a boss and secure, but inside you are asking yourself, am I do I have what it's needed for doing this? And a lot of times you think, I am supposed to be the person who knows what to do. And we show a secure face, but in the bottom we are insecure. When we do whatever, maybe it's something as simple as a dish of food. Maybe, well, it's not the case for you, but maybe it's talking in public, or it's a project you had to develop, and you do it, and you are so worried for what people will say. uh, uh, will they like it? Won't they like it? And that worries you, and that is insecurity. Or maybe it's the things you, or some in some occasion you did something and didn't go well, and it made you feel bad, but you feel so bad because what you didn't turn out okay, and you're taking your value from what you did. And that's not right. We all have insecurities in one way or another, in a measure or another. We all have insecurities. The problem is these insecurities affect our relationships. This is why we're talking about this. This is why I told you there's little things that affects relationships as insecurities. And I want to clear something here. This I'm telling you has nothing to do, or it has to do, but it's not exclusive with to faith or religion. No, this is general. This is something that is general. Actually, business schools, in the best business schools in the world, dedicate semesters to talk about insecurities in people. Actually, society in general terms has presented or has showed us a cure for insecurities, and it is self-esteem. And that is very clear when you and I see different TV commercials, actually, what different companies have done, or society in general. What it has done is they leverage self-esteem to place or to position a product or service because they understand something. They understand insecurity is a reality for the human race in general terms. So they take this self esteem and they use it to address or to attack uh, insecurities, telling us that this product or service will solve that self esteem problem. And I invite you to see or to watch some commercials. And if you do so through this lens, you will realize how society presents self esteem as the cure for insecurities. And beyond words, I want to show it to you. I want you to see this video with me where it's very clear what I mean. Let's see it together. She hates her freckles. She thinks she's fat. She dreams of having blue eyes. She thinks she never says the right things. Let's tell her that she's wrong. Let's tell her to be authentic and brave and genuine, and she will be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's make peace with beauty. Tell me if that video isn't great. If you, when you were watching it, you didn't you feel like, yes, let's tell her to be authentic, genuine, beautiful. Let's tell her to be brave. Yes, yes. Tell me if the music, the message, the script, the scenes. Tell me if everything isn't beautiful. Actually, I love that video. You don't know the number of times I've seen this commercial, but that video, that commercial would be perfect if it were true, but it's not true. The thing, friends, is self-esteem is not the cure for insecurity. And you and I know this because you and I have heard stories of many people who have everything we believe they should have. You know, they look amazingly, they have achieved, they know, and you think, no, 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 this person is amazing. And when you listen to their stories and when you hear so much unhappiness in them, you say that cannot be. How is it possible? How is it possible if he or she has what I believe they should have and they have self esteem? How is it possible? About 3 years ago, I met the person who was Miss Universe in 1986. Her name is Barbara Palacios. She is Venezuelan. Sorry, yes, I know I have to say it. Barbara Palacios, I met her. I met her husband. They are amazing people, truly amazing. And when I was talking to her, she is as beautiful as inside as she is outside. And talking with her husband and with them, what amazed me was when she suddenly told me, back in 1986, when I won Miss Universe, I struggled so much with so many insecurities that it made me question what, how. Imagine, she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and I asked her, you were struggling with insecurities knowing that you were the most beautiful woman in the world and everyone was talking about you? And yes, because self-esteem was not the cure for insecurities. A few days back, I knew the story of Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker and is a legend of college football, although you see him there in an MMA gloves. I don't know much about it, but he is a legend of college football. Then he went into the NFL and he had an amazing performance. After he finished his time in sports, he started a business, an entrepreneurship, a multi-million dollar business nowadays, and you could not believe it. When he got to his 50s, he said, I think I will become an MMA athlete. And he's 50 years old. I'm 35 and I don't look like that now. I'm kidding. The point is this: even with all that you see there that he has achieved, someone interviewed him on ESPN, and this is a phrase we can extract from this phrase, and it's this: the deep insecurities that took root in my life have followed me all the way to adulthood and have affected my relationships. And here are our two words: insecurities and relationships. And friends, we see this and we can think, how? How can this man who achieved, who was walking, or when he walks through the street, people want to take a picture with them, and who has achieved so much, ESPN looks for him for interviewing him. The only cameras I am in are this. How can he be insecure? Okay, I understood he had insecurities when he um, was young, but how can they affect you all the way to your adulthood? The thing is, self-esteem is not the cure for insecurities. And if that's the case, okay, Roberto, I agree. What is the cure then? And we have to fill in this blank. To know what is the cure and to be able to fill in this blank, what we're going to do today is we're going to go to a letter written by the Apostle Paul. And it was written to a group of people who lived in a city called Philippi. They were Jesus followers. It's a short letter, 4 chapters, and you can read it. I truly encourage you to do so. Today, we're just going to extract a couple of verses or passages from it to review them. And there's a great richness there. And when we extract this, or when we read this, we will find what to put on this blank. It says, we rely on what Christ Jesus has done for us. We put no confidence in human effort. Paul is writing to a group of people, Jesus followers, but there was another group who were trying to deviate them from what they had believed. Actually, when Paul was referring to this other group of people, you cannot believe the words or the way, the adjective he gave to this group of people. When you read it, you say, is that in the Bible? I won't tell you what it is. Read it. Paul refers to them in this way. And what Paul is saying is this: friends, don't let yourselves be fooled. Don't let yourselves be defined by others, not even by yourselves. Don't let yourself be defined by what you have achieved. Don't put your sight on your efforts or what you have done. That's what Paul is saying. And what he says is spectacular. He says, though I could have confidence in my own effort, if anyone could, indeed, if others have reasons for confidence in their own efforts, I have even more. Paul is saying, listen, if someone has achieved anything, if there are reasons for me to feel secure, of course I have them. Actually, if anyone has a reason to have a great self-esteem, I have more reasons than that person. I have achieved amazing things. I am and I have achieved. Paul is saying, friends, because of achievements and efforts, I have done it. I have made it. I have even more. Then he makes a list of things because of which he feels or he shows his credentials, because it's very different when you say, well, money doesn't matter, and you have none. In his case, he was referring to a community in which for which it was what he was about to say was very valuable. Maybe not for you and me, but it was for them. And this was Paul's list. I was circumcised when I was 8 days old. And when I say this might not be relevant or it's not something you put on your resume when looking for a job, but for him it was important. Being circumcised when he was 8 days old, when you go to a family reunion, Paul said, you don't do that. You don't say, oh, my name is Roberto and I was circumcised when I was 8 days old. But at that time, it talked or it showed the purity of his race. It was not only something physical, it was larger than that. It was part of his identity. He said, I am a pure blooded citizen of Israel and a member of the tribe of Benjamin. Not only am I an Israelite, but I am a member of the tribe of Benjamin. It's as if I said, I'm not only Mexican, I'm not going to say anything not to get into trouble because there are many people from many places. But the thing is, Paul was saying, I'm not only an Israelite, I am from the tribe of Benjamin. Then he continued, a real Hebrew. If there was one, I was a member of the Pharisees who demanded strictest obedience to the Jewish law. I was so zealous that I harshly persecuted the church, and as for righteousness, I obeyed the law without fault. Gentlemen, listen. And to be able to contextualize this is as if Paul was telling us right now, listen, I come from the best education. I come from the best family, from the best place. I live in the best neighborhood, the best. I studied in the best university. I have this and I have that. I have achieved, I have managed to do. Gentlemen, if there's something I can take value from or self-esteem from, of course I have all that, and I can show you, I can tell you what that is. And then he says something amazing. He says, I once thought these things were valuable, but now I consider them worthless because of what Christ has done. Yes, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. For his sake, I have discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage, so that I could gain Christ. Friends, Paul is saying this. He is saying, in the past, I considered other things as the source of value. In the past, I thought my value came from all that. I thought it was valuable. Actually, I bragged about all this, of all that I knew, of coming from the place I came from. But after I knew Jesus, after I met Jesus Christ, is as if a blindfold fell off my eyes, and what I considered to be so valuable, and now realize this is what's valuable now. This is what I knew, what I now know. His sacrifice, Jesus' sacrifice in my life is what's truly valuable. And everything else, everything else is not where my value comes from, because I have understood. It's like a blindfold fell off my eyes. This does not define me. This is what defines me now. Why is it so important, friends, for us to see this? Why? Because, and we will get to the point right now, the thing is, Paul understood this. Everything I considered that made me superior, it's not. And then Paul writes a text that, regardless of you knowing or not much about the Bible, I know you know this, and because it's very famous. And it says, for I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. Everything. You have heard this. Now I'm gonna make a small clearing. A lot of people emphasize this: I can do all things, I can do everything. And they say, I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. I can do everything. I can do everything. Yes, I can do everything. But the emphasis of this passage is not in the first part of it. The emphasis is here, through Christ. I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. And when you stop for a moment, because what this represents, friends, is this: it leads us to reflect in the fact that God accepts us and forgives us through what Jesus Christ did for us. Because when we stop and reflect on this, on the fact that God accepts us just as we are because of what Jesus did, then you and I can face any situation and we can walk the path because we know God is with us. And maybe someone would ask, what certainty can I have of that because I did this or that? The thing is, this doesn't have to do with you. It has to do with what Christ did for you. But Roberto, what does this have to do with what we're talking about? Well, that in the center of insecurity is a fear of rejection. Every time you are having this type of situations in a relationship, imagine it. Imagine that relationship where there is climate, a stormy climate, storm clouds, and you know that behind that there are insecurities. And in the depths of it, what truly exists is a fear of rejection. What truly is there is a search for acceptance, and that's not something we see easily. We don't see that when I am angry in a relationship there is maybe a climate of undermining or jealousy. You don't connect it quickly with me being fearful of rejection, but what's truly behind all that is that a search of acceptance and a fear of rejection. So what's the cure for this? If we are talking about the fear of rejection is what lies in the bottom, then the cure is acceptance. Acceptance is the cure for insecurity that you and I feel. This is why self esteem is not enough, because acceptance is the cure. And what does it mean? It means that God, just imagine this. I want you to imagine this for a moment. God, the God who created the universe, sees you and smiles. The God of the universe sees you and says, "She is my daughter. He is my son." And he says it with honor, with a special tone, and he says, and maybe you say, Roberto, I don't believe when God sees me, he says, "Oh, he is my son because of what I just did." But you need to accept that when God sees you, he says, "He is my son or my daughter," because he doesn't see you because of what you did, but because of what Jesus did for you. That's why the emphasis is through Christ. How amazing is this? I don't know if you feel as excited as I when I understand that I am accepted by God, not because of what I have done, because I have made so many mistakes. I've done so many things I regret. This week, I gathered my family and my children, and I said, "Oh, the way I got upset, it wasn't okay. Maybe those things don't happen to you, but it happened to me, and I confess it." And when I see that I've been accepted by God through what Jesus Christ did for me, it's different because watching ourselves or seeing ourselves through the eyes of Jesus or through the eyes of God, seeing us as the way God sees us impact our relationships. It's not a conclusion we reach easily, and I'm so excited to be able to tell you this, that you and I are in this chapter of the series, because when you and I try to find acceptance, we're going to create tension in that relationship. Think of a relationship, you know, it's complicated with your parents, your spouse, with your partner, with your children. Think of that relationship, think of what's behind it, and you're looking for acceptance. And if you continue to look for it, you are going to create more tension in that relationship. It won't flow. But when you understand the God of the universe accepts you completely, then you are better prepared emotionally to face that other relationship and then change the climate of it. This is why, my friends, it's so important to talk about this. And I want to ask you this, which is very important. From whom are you trying to win acceptance? Or whose acceptance are you trying to earn? Your spouse's, your children's? Whose acceptance are you trying to win acceptance from? Actually, I would tell you this. That relationship that's so complicated has to do with this. And I want you to embrace this truth because maybe you're trying to be the perfect father or the perfect spouse, and you're in that search, or you're trying to be the perfect friend or whatever. And I tell you, it's not necessary. Why? First of all, there are no perfect parents, or there's no perfect spouse, perfect husband, perfect wife. And I tell you, it's not necessary because what your children, your spouse, your husband, your wife, your teammates need is a parent, a friend, a spouse who lives every day looking at himself, at yourself, how God sees you. And I'm going to tell you to do something. I'm going to ask you to please have something in your phone. Actually, it's this image here. This image, we're going to put it on our social media. I can do all things, everything, through Christ. And you know the emphasis is on through Christ. And I will ask you to go to any of our social media, and in our stories, you will see it in a format that will be as a wallpaper, so that it can serve you as a wallpaper and as a reminder for a week. And I wish you could do it for longer. And I ask you to do this because, again, what your children need, what your spouse needs, it's not a parent or parent, a perfect spouse. Is something that sees himself or herself as God sees him or her.
Mi esperanza eres tú, mi refugio es la cruz. Cuando hablo, estás tú y me escuchas, buen Jesús. Tus palabras, vida dan, mis heridas sanarás. Eres bueno, eres fiel y me entiendes otra vez, porque eres mi Padre. Oh, y en tu nombre libre soy, por tu muerte vivo estoy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy, me rodea tu favor, solo en ti fuerte soy, solo en ti fuerte soy, solo en ti fuerte soy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy. Tus palabras vida dan, mis heridas sanarás. Eres bueno, eres fiel y me entiendes otra vez, porque eres mi Padre. Oh, oh. En tu nombre libre soy, y por tu muerte vivo estoy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy, me rodea tu favor,
soy, solo en ti. Fuerte soy tu hijo, sé quién soy. Oh, seguro estoy en ti, puedo vivir confiado. Mi fuerza eres tú, descanso sobre ti. Oh, en tu nombre libre soy, y por tu muerte vivo estoy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy. Me rodea tu favor, tu nombre libre soy, y por tu muerte vivo estoy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy. Me rodea tu favor, solo en ti. Fuerte soy, solo en ti. Fuerte soy, oh, solo en ti. Fuerte soy tu hijo, sé quién soy. Soy tu hijo, sé quién soy.
Friends, thank you for being with us in this transmission. We are extremely happy that you were with us all throughout this transmission. If it's the first time you are watching this, we are extremely happy that you are doing so. I want to invite you next Sunday to not miss part 3 of this series that we are watching. In the bottom, there will be a link on the screen if this is your first time with us and you want to know a little bit more about us, and we also would like to know you a little bit better. So thanks for being with us and see you next week. Bye.